Your dog is watching you right now, not because it loves you. Scientists studied this behavior for 3 years, and what they found kept them up at night. Researchers at the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna conducted a series of overnight sleep studies on domestic dogs. They placed cameras in bedrooms. They monitored brain activity. They tracked eye movement, body position, and behavioral patterns through the night. What the footage showed appeared in behavioral journals under one clinical term: hypervigilance. Your dog isn't resting while you sleep. It's working. And here's what the Vienna team couldn't explain. The staring wasn't random. It followed a pattern, a specific pattern that only appeared when one particular thing changed in the room, something that changes every single night at exactly the same time. I'll tell you what that is, but first I need to show you what hypervigilance actually looks like inside a dog's brain, because understanding that changes everything about how you see the animal sleeping at the foot of your bed. Think about the last time you woke up at 2 a.m. and your dog was just staring at you. Maybe you laughed. Maybe it unsettled you a little and you tried to forget about it. What you were looking at in that moment was an ancient protection protocol activating inside an animal that chose, completely voluntarily, to guard you through the night, every night, without being asked, without being trained, without expecting anything in return. That is not loyalty. That is something older and stranger than loyalty, and science has finally started to explain it. The Vienna researchers found that domestic dogs in home environments show the same neural activation patterns during their owner's sleep as working guard dogs on active patrol in high-threat environments. The same parts of the brain lighting up, the same stress hormones present in the bloodstream, the same behavioral readiness indicators that you would see in a dog actively protecting a perimeter. The key detail that made this finding remarkable: this behavior is not trained. Dogs who have never worked as guard dogs, who have never been taught protection commands, who have spent their entire lives as house pets with no formal training whatsoever, show identical patterns. The moment their bonded human enters a sleep state, something switches on inside them that has nothing to do with training and everything to do with something written into their biology long before any of us were born. The researchers called it the guardian response, and it is completely automatic. To understand why this happens, you have to go back approximately 15,000 years. That is the period when the earliest archaeological evidence suggests wolves and humans began cohabitating, not as pets and owners, not as working animals and handlers, as something more complicated than either of those things, as two species that discovered, through a process nobody planned, that staying close to each other at night increased the survival odds of both. The wolves that lived near human camps got access to food scraps, warmth, and protection from larger predators. The humans who tolerated wolves nearby got an early warning system, a set of senses that could hear, smell, and detect threats across distances and in darkness that human biology simply cannot process. The wolves that thrived in this arrangement were specifically the ones that stayed alert while the humans slept, the ones that watched, the ones whose nervous systems remained partially active through the night even while their bodies rested, because those were the wolves that caught the threats first. Those were the wolves the humans kept around. Those were the wolves whose genes survived. 15,000 years of that selective pressure is what you are looking at when you wake up at 2 a.m. and your dog is staring at you in the dark. You are not looking at a quirky habit. You are not looking at separation anxiety. You are looking at the living result of 150 centuries of evolution that chose, specifically and deliberately, for the animal that watches over the sleeping human. Your dog is not being weird. Your dog is doing exactly what its entire genetic history built it to do. Now here is the part the researchers did not expect, the part that was not in the original hypothesis, the part that answers what I told you at the beginning, the pattern that only appeared when one specific thing changed in the room. The staring intensified during REM sleep, not during light sleep, not randomly across the night, specifically, measurably, consistently, during the periods when the human entered rapid eye movement sleep, the deepest phase, the dreaming phase, the phase where the human body is most physically vulnerable, most unresponsive to external stimulus, and most likely to produce the kinds of involuntary sounds and movements that in the wild would signal distress to a predator. Twitching, irregular breathing, moaning, stillness so deep it mimics unconsciousness. To a dog's nervous system, which is still running on hardware built for a world where stillness and irregular breathing meant something was very wrong, those signals are threat indicators, and the guardian response fires automatically in response to them. Your dog is not staring at you because you look peaceful. Your dog is staring at you because in the deepest part of its ancient brain, the signals your body produces during REM, sleep, look almost identical to the signals a body produces when something is wrong. It is monitoring you, assessing you, running a continuous threat evaluation on the person it has decided, without your knowledge and without your input, is worth protecting every single night. There is a follow-up finding from the Vienna study that I want to leave you with because I think it is the most important thing in this entire video. The researchers found that dogs who showed the highest levels of the guardian response, the most intense staring, the most active overnight monitoring, the strongest hypervigilance patterns, were not the dogs with the most training. They were not the largest dogs or the most dominant dogs or the dogs with the highest prey drive. They were the dogs with the strongest emotional bond to their owner. The guardian response did not correlate with any measure of physical capability or training or breed or size. It correlated with one thing only: how much the dog loved the person sleeping in the room. The more the bond, the stronger the watch. The deeper the attachment, the more ancient the protection. So the next time you wake up at 2 a.m. and your dog is sitting in the dark staring at you, and you feel that small, strange discomfort of being watched while you sleep, I want you to remember what you are actually looking at. You are looking at 15,000 years of love that never learned how to sleep. If that changed how you see your dog tonight, subscribe to PawAndBrain. Every video on this channel is built around one thing: understanding what is actually happening inside the animal that shares your home. The answers are always stranger and more beautiful than you expect. I will see you in the next one.